We're back, people, and today we're breaking a film on the Miami Dolphins defense versus the Colts. Another very good performance out of the Dolphins defense. They kind of just continue to be the shining, bright part of the season. You know, the offense has really struggled, but the defense has played at a fairly high level. I mean, the Colts aren't the greatest competition, but it's not like they have like just horrible parts across the offense, and they just kind of went out there and made plays. The only touchdown they gave up all day was off of a Dolphins turnover, and the Colts started in very good territory. That's kind of how it's been pretty much every week, them only really giving up most of their points off of turnovers. This, unfortunately, like, they pretty much, like, I got to give a lot of credit to the secondary. Secondary was lights out, especially the corners. Jalen Ramsey had an amazing game as a blitzer. It was locked down in coverage. This might, Caterco, who's really good versus the Patriots last week, probably hit his best game of the career. Fuller had some up and down moments, but was overall like not a, huge problem with the team. They got pressure. Anthony Richardson was pressured on 60% of his dropbacks. They did a great job blitzing. So lots of credit to Anthony Weaver. There are some situations where I didn't like what the defense did, but it wasn't like they were getting super gashed by the running game. They gave up some nice runs, but overall, like what they did. And, they still have the injuries like across the board, and the defense is still performing. So you got to give credit where it's due, even though there was some moments that weren't perfect. But overall, I'm excited to see how they look for the rest of the year. They're like the one hope you have. If the defense can continue to play pretty good football when Tua returns, the Dolphins have a much better chance of winning. So that's kind of where the hope is at the point, I think, for most Dolphins fans and the fan base. And if it doesn't get better, I mean, I expect it to get better, but I don't know if it's going to get better enough to where the Dolphins actually become some sort of good team, but overall, liked what I saw for the most part. We'll go back, break down this first play. Obviously, Dolphins came into the game with no lots of edge defenders missing. Obviously no Jalen Phillips. Chubb hasn't returned yet, and then Ogbo is out with injury, so they kind of came out in some big edge packages. They have 3 down linemen here. Chop is like the only true edge out in the field in this play. But just look at Calais, man. They get Calais isolated on their undrafted rookie, and he just wins the rep right away. Arm over move. He has such a good feel for space, instincts to take that A gap right there. Phenomenal play, especially lined up as like 4-eye to get across the face. Like, really good like gap exchange stuff going on from Calais Campbell. Very good player, and stops that for a negative run just right off the rip of the game. Dolphins did a really good job here. Kind of a really good job from Brooks in coverage. I thought Jordan Brooks had a good game. He was the best of the linebackers again. Overall, nice play in coverage. He communicates the pass off here. He's like, sees this guy get behind him. He communicates, hey, to Long, like, pass that off. But then gets his eyes back to the quarterback to find the, them trying to, because they were trying to, like, move him out of the way here and then throw the dig behind it. But he gets in the throwing lane, boom, gets a pass deflection. I didn't think he got banged up a little bit on the play, but gets a nice little knockdown. Good job. Kind of, like, they didn't get a crazy pressure on Richardson here, but they did a good job, like, really constricting the pocket so you didn't really have room to move around. And, they really have stopped the pass. Like, teams aren't even really trying to throw against the Dolphins. They've been really focusing on running the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how, like, the next few teams play them, like the Cardinals and Bills specifically. Because last time they played the Bills, they got ran all over. But the offense put them in really tough spots. And the Cardinals are a team that is pretty good offensively. Not a very bad defensive team, but we'll see how that kind of works out. This was one that I thought was kind of I think they had an illegal formation called here, or it was some sort of, maybe they didn't get set illegal shift. So there was a penalty at the snap here. They bring a blitz with David Long, so love all the blitz and pressure looks. They were getting after Anthony Richardson. Boom, throws this into the quarterback's face, forces him out of the pocket. Unfortunately, they weren't able to finish for some sacks. They're playing man-to-man across the board. Everyone's covered up pretty well. They end up throwing this against Fuller. I think this is a weak pass interference call. They call DPI here. This could have easily been offensive pass interference or just no call, but like he throws him out of the way. So it ended up being offsetting, but that should have definitely been not defensive pass interference in my opinion. Great play by Jordan Brooks again. This is an insane play. Dolphins rotate into like a cover 6 look here. They're playing cover 2 at the top of the screen. So he's at the cover 2 side, playing quarters over here. So he's like a hook defender, opens up his hips to the right here. This is such a like tough ass where he opens up his hips to like carry this, but then get back, gain depth, get square, and now open up your hips the opposite way. Like, look at the instincts to feel that like understanding situations, like teams are gonna try to run some seam benders that you got to understand. Like it's middle of the field open, you have a 2 safety look, like they're gonna try to throw that seam bender. He's reading the eyes of the quarterback all the way. Great feel for this, and then boom, knocks the ball down. If he doesn't do that, that's potentially probably a touchdown for the tight end. So just amazing play from Jordan Brooks, and they end up getting a turnover later on this drive. Unfortunately, it didn't happen here. I mean, they didn't get the sack here, which was tough. They bring another pressure look. With Brooks blitzing, kind of opening up space for Sealer to get to the inside on this. Sealer, unfortunately, just didn't finish the play, and Richardson is able to break out of the pocket. That's like Richardson's biggest strength, is he is very big, very athletic, tough to bring down. So just a tough guy to wrap up. But they fortunately, Sealer makes up for it. They drop the snap. Dolphins dive on it. Sealer gets a fumble recovery. So really good work from him across the board, and just some pretty good run defense. I feel like run defense overall was not that bad in this game. I honestly expected it to be a little more of a struggle. They gave up some runs, but maybe later on, but they were on the field a lot. Great play here from Deshaun Hand. Quinn Nelson climbs to the next level to linebacker. They leave Deshaun Hand for this tackle to, get on with some trap action, and he just takes him on. Really good technique, good leverage, blows up that play, and everyone else is able to kind of do their job at the point of attack there. I believe Benito Jones took on a double team pretty well right here as well, too, to not get pushed back, create space. Jordan Brooks is able to help fill. Just really good work there, run defense-wise, across the board. Deshaun Hand, overall. A couple players making some plays. Here's Kendall Fuller. Dolphins ran some man-to-man in this game. Variations of man-to-man, or they were pattern matching, too. I think I much prefer that for the defense. They did it against New England, and they did it versus the Colts, because that's just what the Colts in New England struggle against more. I do think they can go more zone heavy if that's what teams tend to struggle against, but I do think this kind of fits a lot of these players' skill set across the board. Great play by Fuller here, especially playing like off-man coverage with depth to like really isolate it. Like there's so much room to this side. Like it's one rat, so we have the rat playing to this side, helping to that side of the field. Richardson's feeling a little bit of pressure with Poyer blitzing and Anthony Walker blitzing. But Fuller is anticipating. He's weaving to the inside here, and really good transition break on that. And he gets there slightly early, but the big thing is when you get there early, like you can see how he kind of like slows down right there. Because if you forcefully impact the receiver, it's going to be PI. But he doesn't give a forceful impact until the ball gets there. So that's just a really nice play from Kendall Fuller overall. But great blitzes across the board. Ramsey I think got pressure on 4 out of his 5 blitzes. He is really good near the line of scrimmage. I like the sell here. Get to the outside. Get that pressure. Just forces Richardson to panic. Dolphins do some fun coverage stuff here because May has to replace Ramsey. They motion this across, and then they end up going into a too high look with Kohu being too high there, and then Anthony Walker's playing as a Tampa 2. So they do like a variation of Tampa 2 with a blitzing Jalen Ramsey as an outside corner. Just lots of fun looks, man, from Weaver. Really, really exciting stuff that he brings to the table. This is the one area I have problems with what Weaver's done so far. And this happened in the Titans game too, and it might have happened in another game, but when it's like 20 to 30 seconds left in the game, or before the half, and it seems like, they would need one big play to get down there. The Dolphins just play too soft, like up front. They only bring 4. Every time they've done this, they get good blocks. They don't try to, bring any unique pressure looks. And then they just drop back deep, and then he gets all day, and then they basically put this player in. They're basically just reading the middle linebacker usually. They give him a threat over the middle. They have him break on this, and then they throw in the deep dig behind it, where it's zone. So Kohu's not matching this, so they either have to run some pattern match, man to man, bring some type of pressure. I don't know why we're changing this up. They run those layers, and then Pittman's just open and behind it. Very, very annoying to see that, because then they just get a free field goal before half when the Dolphins are up 10-0, and it should have been a 10-0 lead, and then that's kind of where it goes down. Then this was the drive right after the fumble. They start about at the 30 or whatever. They run QB draw, Anthony Richardson. It's just a good play. I think the Dolphins got aggressive. They think after the fumble they kind of want to get back into it. They get Richardson, Robinson shoots upfield. Richardson's able to get upfield now. A lot of their normal play calls weren't really working. Then they run jet sweep because the Dolphins were kind of stopping the basic run calls at this point in the game. They get jet sweep out on the edge. Now once you're inside the 5, all it takes is something like this, where this is on David Long. So we'll watch this. Jordan Brooks gets put in a tough spot here. Like, he basically gets a one-on-one with Quentin Nelson with all this space. So he has to basically pick, like, do I get this gap or this gap? He's kind of responsible to help for both. But May and Long are communicating, like, hey, I can fill up into here. Like, I think May's communicating, like, I can fill this gap. So Long has to stay square patient and then scrape over the top and get into this one. But they both shoot this gap, and it's just a wide open lane for Goodson to get into the end zone. So that was, like, one of the big negatives. But Ramsey just blitzing, man. So good. I mean, honestly, respect to Richardson, because this easily could have been... This could have been a game-changing play, by the way, because when you get hit that hard, he never saw him coming. Never saw him coming. If you get hit that hard when you're trying to pump it up, and the ball doesn't come out, not in the fact the ball doesn't come out, he stays on his feet to still throw that ball away. That's kind of a game-changing play. I mean, impressive stuff from Richardson, but love all the blitz looks that they have with Ramsey coming from the nickel or even outside. Here they have Ramsey blitzing again. This was another one that was almost a fumble. His arms coming forward. It's just barely a pass there. Chop would have got a fumble recovery too if it counted. Unfortunately, it did not. But the blitz and pressure looks were very, very fun in this game. Hopefully, in the future, when you get those can turn into sacks and then also turn into turnovers, because that's where, like, the one area where, like, right now the Dolphins desperately need some big time turnovers from their defense, because the defense is playing really well. It just hasn't had, like, the big turnovers to really change the momentum of the game. Here's another big third down situation. They had a lot of these, like, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4s. Great job from Ko here, just maintaining his outside leverage. Dolphins playing some, pattern match stuff here. He's just matching number 2. He's got him if he goes vertical or to the outside here. And he does. Quick out. Josh Downs, who's a very good slot receiver, goes with it all the way, makes a play at the catch point. It stays square. He stays patient. I thought Ko played outstanding in this game, so got to give Cater a lot of credit. This was actually the tough one. Dolphins didn't give up a ton of third down conversions, especially versus the pass. If they get this stop here, the Colts probably have to punt, and then the Dolphins get the ball with still enough time left, only down 3. Like, they could potentially have still had a chance. They would have given their offense more of a chance. They do get a stop later than this, but it was more, they didn't get the stop until the 2-minute, and then using all of your timeouts after this, and then they also got a field goal, so they went up 6. So this was like a big play that just, this is where the problems of man-to-man can come from, because I do think Ko's better in man-to-man than he's in zone. Ramsey can do anything. And then while I think Fuller's can play some off-man, he's better in off-man and then zone than I think at playing like this type of man-to-man. Like, that's more of like a softer press, and they run mesh, which when you're playing outside leverage and this guy's aligned pretty tight and you have outside leverage like this, and they run mesh underneath, like shallow cross, it's a tough ass to get there, but he gets beat pretty bad, and they convert the first down, so that was kind of a tough play. And then they gave up, this was like, I think, where they gave up most of their chunk runs, was here at the end. They finally get Chop unblocked. Like, Chop makes a great play initially, gets here, shoots past everyone unblocked, shoots in the backfield, shows off that athleticism, he just misses the tackle. And then Sermon's able to break it and gets one of his longest runs of the day, and they kind of just continued that to get down inside the 5. Unfortunately, the Dolphins kind of clutched up and held them to a field goal. Here versus Josh Downs again. Kohu, they're trying to throw, like, they're one good communication here too. So pre-snap, they kind of motion over here, and Kohu, or they reset pre-snap, and Kohu communicates with Fuller, like, hey, we'll swap, and they do, because Downs comes to the inside, but they're trying to really set that up, so they know they are probably gonna play like the banjo coverage and swap down here. So they want to set that up, play hard to the inside, but he still matches the pivot route really, really well. They get some good pressure on Richardson eventually with Brooks and in May. They attack, and it ends up being an incomplete, which was a pretty big play that held them to a field goal. And that was the field goal, the first field goal to take the lead, by the way, not the second one. That was my bad. Got that loss there. This was another big play where they so close. One interesting call, by the way. So the Dolphins show like a single high look, like they're going to run cover 3. They run full inverted cover 2, by the way. So this ends up being, this single high safety goes down to be like the Tampa 2 linebacker. the two corners play deep as if they're like playing a deep half, so they become like the cover two. And then Ramsey and Poyer play as the flat defender. So this is a tough ask because these guys have to gain a lot of depth, the corners. Then Poyer has to really get out to the flat. It's a good adjustment by Pittman to recognize, and then Richardson to get it out. And then Poyer gets his hand on it. Unfortunately, was very close to being a pick. He tipped it, but it still ended up getting completed, and that was a huge play for them on like their final drive to kick a field goal. And then they just kind of stopped them here. Richardson, after that play, they were able to get into field goal range, have a couple nice runs, and this was a big one to stop them. And then they had a third down run after this that held them to a field goal. But overall, Dolphins defense doing a good job again and again. Excited to see them play some like very good offenses, because obviously the Colts offense ranks statistically middle of the pack, but I think they're worse with Richardson. And then obviously the Patriots offense is very good, but they did a pretty good job versus teams like Seattle, who has a good offense, things like that. So will be interesting to see how it plays out. Get some certain people back in the lineup potentially. I think Cam Smith just got activated, and I don't know how much he'll play because the corner's actually playing pretty well. But I would like to see some of him. Hopefully Bradley Chubb coming back can actually help out a lot. Need Ogba to be healthy just for like the edge rotation. But overall, good day for the defense. Just not enough to win, unfortunately. There was too many mistakes made by the offense. But if you guys really do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.